Greetings and welcome to Connecting with Intent Formula Show. I'm your host Muhammad Awais. On this episode, we have a very special guest. He is consultant and trusted advisor specializing in cybersecurity governance and digital transformations. Please join me to give a warm welcome to our guest, David Bevett. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Mohammed. Glad to be here.
Let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who were you surrounded with that inspired you to do what you do today?
Well, in essence, it was an experience that I had when I was in college and in the Army, and it was life transforming.
Okay. What is your higher purpose in life?
That is to help leaders to navigate uncertainty and to better understand how to navigate the dark side of organizational behavior.
What have been top three greatest challenges that you have had to overcome?
So, as I mentioned earlier, the example with the Army, one was I had a really bad training accident and it took me many years to recover. So, that was definitely one of the greatest challenges. Another challenge would be graduate school, really to understand what I truly wanted to study and what was important to me. And then third, greatest challenge is really to figure out how to not just define my work and my purpose, but how I could bring that into the real world through a career.
And the next question is, what is your greatest failure story? What did you learn and how did you recover from it?
I think my greatest failure story would be when I was working as a project manager back in the 2001 era, and I was working on an international web project. And there's a lot of things that went wrong with that project. One of them was a misunderstanding about the organization's culture and how the technology would interface with the culture. And ultimately, we ended up launching on 9/11. So when we were deploying this new website, the towers were coming down. And that was one of the most challenging projects I'd ever experienced. How did I recover from it? Part of that recovery was going back to graduate school and studying organizational change and development and learning really deep lessons about everything that I'd seen that had gone wrong or that I couldn't understand or that I didn't know how to influence in an effective way.
Okay. What is the most impactful business book you have read and what did you learn from it?
The Knowing Doing Gap by Pfeffer and Sutton. And that essentially talks about why is it that there are things that we know that we don't do. And they came to the conclusion that there's something called smart talk that occurs. And essentially, smart talk is when you hear people discussing concepts, theories, things are somewhat abstract, but they aren't directly applicable to what needs to be done. So, part of what I learned is how to address smart talk in conversations and how to ensure that I wasn't doing smart talk myself.
Wow. What are your goals for the next 12 months?
Well, to continue to grow in my role as a cybersecurity consultant, but also to continue to help the clients that I work with more on the trusted advisor side to grow in their careers and in their leadership.
Oh, I appreciate you sharing your goals with us. And what advice you will give to your younger yourself?
Number one, to be patient. And number two, to really be truer to myself and what it is that my values and my vision really was. And then last but not least, put faith first.
That's great advice. How we can support you?
Well, that's a good question. I think that that'll be this is the start of a conversation in terms of what that might look like. At some point, I'd like to be able to do the trusted advisor work, not just here in the United States, but to work with leaders around the world and helping them to understand and navigate uncertainty in their environments and to learn how to navigate the not only the dark side of organizational behavior, but to learn how to address and face their own dark side so that they can be more effective as agents of change.
Yeah. What would you say about your guest experience on this show?
I think it's been a good experience. I like the format.
I appreciate your kind words. What closing thoughts would you like to share with our listeners?
Certainly. Number one, in our own way, each one of us is a change agent in our lives. If you really want to see a change happen, if you want to see systems grow and be transformed, then the change starts within. And don't be afraid to identify and understand those things that lurk in the shadows, because often those are the same things that keep us or block us from being able to make the changes that we really want to make in the world. If we can face the dark side in ourselves, we can face the dark side in our systems, and we can make a change that was going to help all of us.
So much, David, for sharing your experience, for sharing your wisdom with us on the behalf of connecting with the entire Formula community and our entire team. We really appreciate you. This is Muhammad Wes. Until the next episode, all good wishes.